my top is too bright and you can't see my face. That's how I see myself in the viewfinder. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do my Pan That palette and my Pan That palette in order update. I'm excited. I'm feeling very, very bright today. I just went for it and I was like, you know what, let's just do it. So hopefully it looks okay on camera because I feel like I can only see my shirt. It is a fluorescent top, and so it might be making everything look strange. But I also have like fluorescent eyeshadow on as well. So I am just feeling that today. Okay, so let's get through my little update. I was really hoping this was going to be a good update. It's okay, the update is fine, but I was just wanting it to be like something special, and it just is okay. So that's where we are. Okay, so I'm working on the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. This is my Pan That palette in order, where I want to hit pan in all the shades in order. It makes sense, right? And then we have my Flower Moon from Ensley Rain. This is my Pan That palette for the year. And I have no specific rules. I don't tell myself I have to hit pan and everything. I just want to use this palette as much as possible for this year. It's a palette that I neglected for a long time. I got it, and then all of a sudden everything happened with the brand, and I was like, oh, I don't even want to like show this too much on my channel, but the shades in here are really beautiful. I spent a pretty penny on this palette, so yeah, it was voted in as my Pan That palette for the year. So every month I go through my update. I think this time round, let's look at my Pan That palette in order, shall we? So I'll put up on the screen what it looked like last month, but really I'd only been working on the second shade. I hit pan in the first shade. It took me a few months, and then the second shade has been taking me quite a long time as well. Now, obviously, I know other people who are working on this palette and they're doing very well. It's not 100% my focus, you know, and I am going into a lot of eyeshadow palettes and eyeshadows and other things, and you know, life just gets in the way, and sometimes we don't always have the best update. But this time around, I actually do have an update, and I did spoil this last week, but I did end up hitting pan in the shade that I have been working on for the last, how many months? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months I've been working on hitting pan in this Utopia shade, and I have done it now. So I used it an extra 3 times since the last update, so not a huge amount, but I was able to hit the pan that I wanted, and then I stopped using it. I was like, no, I'm done, and then I moved on to the next shade in the row there. This one I've also gone into 3 times. I actually have it on today. It is the purple that is on my eyes today. So this shade, let me tell you about this shade. This shade helped create some of my favorite looks in my entire life. And some of you have been complimenting on a lot of the looks that I've been creating in the last few months, and this shade has been in most of them. It has been a wonderful lid shade for me, crease shade, a little pop of peach, a little pop of color, kind of similar to this, but not as vibrant. This is GlossGods, and this has been really, really nice to use in a lot of different looks. If you watch my videos where I go through all the looks the previous month, you'll know that most of the peachy looks, maybe with a splash of purple or blue or whatever, were mostly all with this one shade. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So I've calculated I've used this 21 times in this project to hit pan. Now bear in mind, I have had this palette for several years, and this was a shade that I'd already gone into quite a few times. So it just takes quite a while for me to hit pan in Huda Beauty, which is absolutely fine. But yeah, that is one that now I have officially done, and I'm very pleased about. The pigment is still there with this shade. It still works really well, and so I'm pleased because, like I said, this is an older palette, but it still is absolutely fine. So this ultraviolet, like I said, I have it on my lids today. I think this is kind of how I'm going to be pairing it and wearing it, because the other 2 times, this is the 3rd time that I've used this shade since I started working on it, and this is kind of how I've been using it, almost as if it were a matte. I've just been deepening out my outer corner with this shade, and I think it works. Obviously it has a little bit of a shine to it, but it's not the shiniest shade in the world. And I don't know, this is kind of what it's looking like just from going in 3 times. So I have hope that I was trying to find the word. I have hope that I can hit pan in this for sure. I don't think it's going to take me 20 plus uses, but you never know. If I continue using it like I've used it today, and maybe a few times like with a pencil brush, and maybe I'll put it down here a few times, I think I can make it work. It looks pretty dark in the pan, but as you can see on my lids, I feel like it can sheer out and look a little pretty. It looks pretty, even darker here, right? It looks even more blue as I've swatched it, but I think shearing it out will help. But yeah, you can see there's really not a lot of sparkle and shine to this shade anymore. So it's not a very pretty shade, and it's one that I have been worried about going into because I obviously knew that I was going to venture this way. I could like swap out and maybe go downward. I could have gone down to Galaxy, and Galaxy would have been a really nice one to hit pan on. But I just started working on Ultraviolet, so we're going to go with that. Maybe I'll do Ultraviolet and then I'll go down to Libra. Because what I was doing before this year, and I had this palette in my Pan That Palette in order, I was doing kind of like Pan That Palette cubed. Because the order system wasn't really working for me, and so wherever I had a pan, I was able to work on that shade. I didn't do it for the initial part of this palette, but I do have other shades in here that have pan, so I could have quite literally worked on maybe these shades at least, instead of working in the corner here. But because I've done that now, I have 2, I think I could still bend the rules and do that. If I feel like this is too much of a struggle, in a couple months, I could maybe swap it out and go to that one. But I don't want to give up yet. I think it's a pretty shade. I think if I can do looks like this, I think it will work fine. So anyway, that's my Pan That Palette in order update. Not a huge amount, but I have a pan. So if you didn't see my video last week, it wouldn't have been spoiled. If you did see my video last week, sorry I spoiled it, but I have a pan now. So I'm working on, obviously, that second shade. Third shade. All right, so my Pan That palette is obviously the Flower Moon from Ensley. This is the original. I know that they've re-released this now with different packaging. I don't know if the formula's changed or anything, but I know it's been re-released. But this is the original, and this is, oh my gosh, sorry, I'm showing you. I'll put up on the screen what this palette looked like last month. So last month, the biggest update that I had for you was I hit pan in the Freesia shade, and that's about it really. I really didn't go into too many other shades. I did have a plan to, and I have had a plan to hit pan in the Flower Moon, which is just next to it. So that's been one of my focuses for this last month, but then also just trying to use other shades. I've said this in multiple videos now, I think, but this is a palette where I'm not focusing on just one shade at a time. And so my uses is very sort of spread across the palette. And so when we look at month on month, most of the time you can't really notice the difference because I'm not just focusing on one shade at a time. So having said that, here is what the palette looks like. Unfortunately, this month, I do not have a new pan to share with you. I just realized I had lipstick all over my teeth. I'm so sorry about that. Anyway, so no new pan to share with you this month. Like I said, I've been trying to hit pan in this shade, but I have not. I actually have this shade on my eyes today, and I thought, you know what, let's use it one more time and maybe I will hit pan, but it did not happen. So let's just go through my uses and then we'll talk about what the next steps are for this palette. Okay, so I did end up going into Bloom once. So this is also another shade that I could potentially try to hit pan on. It is a pretty shade. It's just not something that I want to go to all the time. I did go into Pink Moon. So this pan is slowly expanding. I went to that once. I did not go into Freesia. I think I was sick of it after hitting pan in it, so did not go into that one. I did end up going into Flower Moon 4 times. So now I've gone into this quite a lot, and I'm still surprised that there's no pan in there, considering some of these other ones I really didn't go into too many times and I was able to hit pan. So this one is gorgeous, but it's taken me a little bit longer than expected actually to finally hit pan, which is fine. I will just continue using it for this month. I went into Persephone 2 times, so again, I'm trying to, I guess, slowly expand that pan. I don't know if it looks too different from last month. I went into Dahlia once. This is also a beautiful, beautiful shade, and again, potentially I can continue expanding that pan. I went into April Showers once, and I think this one, I might go into more, and I would probably have gone into more, but it is clashing with the Ojo shade in my Stone Vibes from Urban Decay, and I'm trying to hit pan in that, and they're basically kind of like the same. Actually, this is probably even nicer than that one, but because that would be like a huge accomplishment, because then I would have hit pan in every single shade in the Stone Vibes. I am neglecting this one completely because I want to focus on the other one first. So I don't see myself using this over the next month really either because of that shade, unless I hit pan in Ojo pretty fast and then I can go back to this one. I don't know, it depends how I'm going to feel. I went into Refresh twice, so this is a pan that I already had before I rolled this into my palette. It's the only one I had in this palette, and I was kind of neglecting it all year, but now I slowly started to use it, and I've used it twice now this month. Primrose, I did not end up going into. I really feel like this one and this one are almost identical in terms of shades and texture and finish, and I find it strange that they have both of them in the palette. So, and I'm kind of neglecting both of them. But I did end up going into Bliss. Bliss is very pretty. I went into Bliss 2 times. So Bliss is definitely one of the greens that I very much enjoy. Yeah, and then we have Forsythia. I did not go into that one at all. I didn't go into Awakening. Didn't go into Sapling, even though I have a pan. And then I have Sprout. I did go into that one once. So again, you know, another one that potentially I could try to work my way to getting a pan. This one is very similar to Freesia, which I hit pan in last month. So if I'm going to use, I use this in my outer corner, almost like a sort of a shade, like a deepening shade. And I'm going to use this one for the same purpose. So whenever I do need to use a shade like that, it's probably going to be this one as opposed to Freesia. So Freesia is going to most likely be neglected now for a while because, again, I think those 2 shades are quite similar. They're different, but they're quite similar in terms of why I would use them. Moving on, we have Lush. So this one I've gone into twice. Do we see anything happening? Maybe there's a little bit of a dip forming. The mattes are just not happening for me in this palette. Rejuvenate, I did not go into. I did go into Peony once this month. Doesn't look like it though. Didn't go into Mayflowers. I did go into Meadow once. I went into Budding once, and I went into Renew twice this month. But again, you cannot see anything happening with those mattes. So I don't expect by the end of the year to have any pans in the mattes. I just don't think it's going to happen in this palette, which is absolutely fine. I didn't buy this palette for the mattes. And I quite honestly think that the mattes are fine, but when it comes to these types of palettes, it's the shimmers that I gravitate towards. So it's fine, but I'm still trying to get into them. I would say the mattes that have the most use, just like in terms of like disturbance, would be Lush, Meadow, and then Renew. Yeah. So this is probably the one that I've used the least. Anyway, that is my little update for this one. So I was hoping to have a pan in the shade, but it hasn't happened. And it's been fine. I have just been putting this either on my lids, like I said, I have it on today. Sometimes I put it down on my lower lash line. It's really pretty. It is kind of competing with the Cosmic Beauty shade that I'm also trying to hit pan on. So, you know, they both are very pretty and they are almost the same. So I kind of use them for the same purpose. So if I'm going to use one, I'm not going to use the other. So again, it's kind of sharing its time with that. Same as like what I said about April Showers, right? Yeah, April Showers and Ojo. They're almost the same, and I would use them for the same purpose. So one is going to get used more than the other. And yeah, so I think that's why probably it's taking longer. But also my uses on this one is kind of high at this point. I'll put up on the screen what it is exactly. But so far for this year, I've used this many times, right? So I would have thought for somebody who usually hits pan in these types of shimmers pretty fast, I'm at the point now where I should be seeing a pan and I don't have a pan yet. So, well, we'll see if it happens next update. I really feel like I'm so close because like when I see where the pan is, these are not very deep shade, pan sizes and depth wise, they're not very deep. So I feel like it's there, but it's just not presenting itself, which is absolutely fine. Yeah, but like I said, I don't think I'm gonna get really much use out of these two. I think they're almost the same shade, which is kind of a shame. It would be fun to be able to hit Pan and Bliss at some point this year, but I don't know if it's gonna happen. Sprout, it just looks like there's not really much going on there, but like I said, I used it one more time this month. If I continue expanding pans, I think that would be cool, but my main goal is definitely going to be to hit pan in this shade and then maybe get more use on Bloom. I think that would be the two, yeah, that would be the two main sort of goals that I have going into this next month. But who knows? I don't know what's going to happen. I go into this palette and I just choose what I choose, and yeah, if I continue to expand the pan in some of these, that will be fine. I'm so relaxed with this pan palette for this year. It's not, I would say this was a decent choice for me to roll it in. And like I said, it was voted by everyone. But at the end of the day, it's not the best palette to use for a pan palette. So I'm just taking it as it is. It's not a palette that I want to go into every single month and every single week or day. So I'm just going to bear that in mind for the picks that I have for next year, because it's a little bit more fun when it's a palette that you want to go into like all the time and actually see the progress. This one, I'm just going into it when I feel like I need to, but then also I'm not stressing about the fact that maybe I spend like 2 weeks and I don't even look at this, you know, it's just not, it's not my focus. And that's probably why it looks the way it looks, but it is what it is. It's fine. I'm getting use out of it, so it doesn't matter at the end of the day. And that is my update. So not the best update, but also not the worst. I did get a pan in the other palette and slowly getting progress in other shades. And I'm enjoying it. I'm not hate panning. That is just something that I will not do anymore on my channel. So if I get to the point where I'm just going into it because I feel like it, but I hate it, I'm not going to do that anymore. So I'm not doing that. And I think that's probably why my uses are so low. What I will do is I'll put up on the screen how many times I've gone into all the shades so far for the year, because I think that's interesting to see. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!